Hi, my name is Jasmine Coates, and I'm glad that you guys were able to come. I'm glad that I had a few guests to come to the show today to talk about CESSA.
Hi everyone, I'm TJ Gordon, and I am a AYLP member, which stands for Advance Your Leadership Power, and I'm also a researcher at UIC.
Hi, I'm Curtis Harris. I'm also a member of AYLP, and I'm the council of Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities.
Today's show is going to be about CESSA, and I have three people that are going to be talking about CESSA today. Okay, so when did we start on CESSA?
I think Curtis has a better idea than I do.
2015,
Okay, so
April 2015. It started with the march and rally in Calumet City to the police headquarters
okay,
with Stephon Watts' family, and then 3 weeks later, town hall,
okay,
where he decided to take action and to write a bill in his honor.
okay. So after that started, then we had to bring it down to Springfield, right?
Yes, but before we brought it down to Springfield, we wanted to figure out what the bill would be for. And eventually, after doing some research and some thinking, we decided that we wanted to have a bill where the police won't be the first to arrive to a behavioral and mental health crisis situation, because even if a police officer is trained to handle those situations, some will still be triggered just by seeing a presence of a police officer with a gun.
Okay,
And that could escalate into violence or even death, especially if a police officer don't even recognize the signs of a mental health or behavioral health crisis and see that crisis as a criminal act. Hence, that's in short what happened to Stephon Watts. The call was supposed to be for the police to transport him to, the police and the ambulance to transport him to a mental health clinic, from my understanding. But instead, they mistake Stephon holding a butter knife, which he was trying to use the butter knife to initially get the door open.
okay,
They mistake that for a threat. So we wanted a create a bill where trained mental health professionals who are like first responders could be at the scene first, especially if it's something that is nonviolent.
okay. So after we had the bill put into Stefan Watts's name, wasn't there like a time to where we had to go back and we had to wind up changing it into CESSA?
To be honest, CESSA and Stefan Watts never changed. It was the Stefan Watts bill all along. It's just that we added the Community Emergency Supports and Services Act for technicality reasons. That's all. But the bill, besides a few tweaks, the Stefan Watts bill remained functionally the same throughout.
Okay. But it just became CESSA
Officially, yes.
In
officially.
2019, we renamed it CESSA, Stefan Edwards Watts Bill.
Okay.
And then we decided that instead of going to Springfield to lobby because of the COVID pandemic, we called the legislators throughout the state to get them to support CESSA.
Okay. And as you guys, okay. So basically, me, Curtis, and TJ are all a part of AYLP, which is Advanced Youth Leadership Power, and that's how we came out with the CESSA bill. So, and I've been a part of Access Living for since 2005, as well as many other groups. So we've also done a lot of work on CESSA. The CESSA bill finally got passed in 2021 of this year.
On August, what was the date again?
25th.
August 25th, 2021.
Okay, August 25th of 2021 is when CESSA got passed.
And signed by Governor Pritzker.
Yeah, and signed by Governor Pritzker at the Thompson Center. So we've did a lot of hard work, and we've made it to where now CESSA has been passed.
I think from my understanding, where we at CESSA right now is we still try to figure out how CESSA could be in effect for each police department or
Okay.
each police, fire, or any emergency departments throughout states and regions in Illinois. Because what CESSA calls for is to have a system of mobile units and protocols and procedures where
Police don't respond to crisis, right?
Right. Instead, it will be basically a first responder team similar to first responders in physical emergencies, where they'll be the first to arrive at a behavioral mental health emergency.
And social
then-
workers as well, right? They do that.
I wouldn't say social workers. It could be a social worker. It could be somebody trained specifically in emergencies.
Okay.
And from there, with the riches of the person go for the prices, they could take the person to the hospital. They could take them to a mental health clinic, or they could take them to a local
Living
mental health.
room.
Yep, that's a living room arrangement where they could talk to a counselor or any local resource that's there in their area, as opposed to either the hospital against their will or jail or dead. The only time the police will be involved if it's something criminal, usually either involving shooting, harming themselves, or harming other people. But other than that, no police needed.
Okay, so basically, police officers are basically being taken out of the equation, out of the equation of having to basically respond to mental health.
Basically, I'll say more so, not entirely out of the equation, but let's just say police will be the last resort, but they won't be the first option.
Okay. All right. So,
Additionally, we have the 988 number that Illinois gonna be rolling out next year
yeah, and then also to the
across the country.
the 988 number will be rolled out next year. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 2022,
Yes,
as well as that the bill will be going into effect for 2022. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right. It will go into effect in 2022.
Okay, that's what I
And
thought.
CESSA by July 2022.
Okay,
yeah, and basically with the 988 number, think of it as an emergency number, just like 911, but a mental health crisis as well. So it will still be like an emergency dispatch, but instead of, again, the police being the first responders, the 988 number will basically send out people trained in those situations to come to you.
okay. So now since the CESSA bill has been done, the CESSA bill has passed in August, has been not passed, has been passed and has been signed in August 25th. Now we are working on our next steps to make sure that it can be distributed distributed all around America, right? Or
Yes.
am I-
All around Illinois, at least, yes.
Okay.
But hopefully,
Sorry, all around Illinois, but we're still working on trying to get everything around Illinois. And when the 988 comes in 2022, then that will be available for people to, if people have a nervous breakdown, then that will be available as well for people. Okay. And AYLP meets on, should I say when?
yeah, yes, we usually meet on the first and third, and sometimes the fifth Tuesdays of every month from 4 to 5:30. If you would like more information on AYLP, you may contact the lead organizer for AYLP, Candace Coleman, at CCOLEM as in man, AN as in Nancy, at accessliving.org. And all of our meetings are virtual for the time being.
Okay, I think that's it. And thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys soon.
Hello, everyone. My name is TJ Gordon. I am a researcher at UIC. I'm also a writer, social media influencer, and I was one of the interviewees for the documentary called Code of the Freaks. Today I am with Rob Ropeman, and we will talk about Susan Nussbaum's book called Good Kings, Bad Kings. And in fact, Rob, I have a question
Right.
about the book.
Right.
From what I understanding, there is a part of the book at the end where it ties to the Andy Griffith Show. Would you
Right.
like to explain that a little bit more? I'd love to hear about it.
Thank you, TJ. Well, in the book, and for those who haven't read it, and should, it's the story of these kids in a state-run school for disabled kids in Illinois. Well, one of the kids named Pierre collects trading cards from the Andy Griffith Show. Now, you may not know this, but I have lived in Chicago for 32 years, and I have a practice of giving everyone I know the Andy Griffith Show trading cards. Now, it ties in because what you've been talking about today, for those who watch the Andy Griffith Show and the reruns, Andy did not want to carry a gun because he always felt that a gun inspired fear. So if he could just, treat people as people, they wouldn't fear. So that's why he never really, he carried a gun if he had to. So that is truly, I think why that show stands up so well. And, I suppose you could say it's fiction, but, I think if we could all, take Andy's advice and not use a gun, we'd be a better world. And yeah. Yeah. And, I'm so happy to have you on. We'd love to have you on to talk more about your work and everything. And what are your feelings, maybe, what are your feelings about cancel culture? I mean,
it's really hard to say. It's very controversial as a disabled person of color.
right.
On one hand, I am glad we are finally calling attention to the misogyny, the violence that takes place not only in Hollywood, but in many other professions as
Sure.
well.
Mhm.
But at the same time, we created a culture where we are quick to judge, but we don't understand the full story, especially if, let's say, the person is a victim of
Right.
any wrongdoing, or
Right.
let's say they may not be a victim, but they may be oppressed in other ways simply because of their identity.
Right. I know, I have a friend, my dear late friend, Glenda Gill, who is no longer on earth, but is still very much in my life. She always hated the color purple. But I know other Black women who like the color purple. What are your feelings about that?
I like the color purple, but I think because from a historical standpoint, you can see why Black women are told to be strong because they took a lot of abuse, but also it's empowering because we see Celie
Right.
fights back basically and takes ownership of her personality. And also, for those who haven't read the book or seen the play, she's actually in a lesbian relationship with Suge.
Sure.
Even though they don't talk about it in the movie, if you read the book or seen the play, it's
Right.
more obvious.
Okay, yeah. So do you think, is it the sense that, do you feel as an artist, there are things you can do that may look politically incorrect, but, you've got to expose everything?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Mhm.
I want to take the page out of Dave Chappelle where he called out the
Right.
LGBT plus community.
Right.
It's scary because with any work, you'll offend somebody.
Right.
It's one thing to offend somebody outright using slurs or
Right.
obviously something that is very harmful, but at the same time, a original job of a comedian or the jester is to tell the truth
Right.
in a funny way.
Mhm.
And in this case, with Dave Chappelle or any other actor, he called out the sense that in LGBT plus community, sometimes the focus is on being hurt so much that they could forget their own members of their community.
Right.
It happens in the disability community also,
Yeah.
where we fight so much for disability rights,
Mhm.
yet do we support people with disabilities who also in the LGBT plus community, or maybe a person of color, or maybe a immigrant?
Mhm.
It's me personally, no, but more often than not, it's hard because we could be focused on one particular thing, but we
Right.
don't get the time to see the bigger picture and
Right.
take care of our own. We fight so much that we forget to protect our own.
Right. You know, it's kind of like, innocent thing. If I can get back to Andy Griffith, I think, he's no longer with us, but I think if he could see this environment now, he would be saying, I just love the fact that, it's a Yankee that has caused all this hate in this country. And, when he first came to New York, I'm sure everyone put Andy down. Oh, you're from the South, you're just a redneck and a bigot. And, look where we are. It's someone from New York that, I would
Mhm.
really hate to see bring down this country. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, TJ, and let's have you on more. Right on.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.